Question 1. Which of the following statements is most appropriate to give the correct meaning of development? A. Development refers to the functional changes or non-organic. This is incorrect because functional changes would relate more to things like behavior or abilities, not physical or structural changes, and non-organic isn't a term typically used to describe development in biological terms. B. Development refers to the organic changes of the body. This is partially correct. While development does involve organic, physical changes to the body, this option doesn't fully capture the broader scope of development, which also includes cognitive, emotional, and social aspects. C. Development is quantitative in nature. This is incorrect. Development isn't just about numbers or measurements, which is what quantitative refers to. It also involves qualitative changes such as mental or emotional growth. D. Development refers to the structural changes of the body. Correct answer. This is the best description because development typically involves changes in the structure of the body, e.g., growth in size, brain development, changes in organ systems, as well as functional changes like motor skills, emotional, and cognitive maturation. Question 2. Development being a process takes place from continuous. A. The prenatal stage throughout the lifespan of the individual. This is incorrect because while development starts in the prenatal stage before birth, it doesn't stop after birth. So, the prenatal stage alone isn't enough to describe the entire lifespan of development. B. The neonatal period throughout the lifespan of the individual. This is also incorrect. The neonatal period refers specifically to the first few weeks of life, the newborn phase, which is too short a time to define the entire span of human development. C. The period of the fetus throughout the lifespan of the individual. This is incorrect for the same reason. The development of the fetus is just one phase in the larger process of human development, and it doesn't cover the entire lifespan. D. The infancy period throughout the lifespan of the individual. This is incorrect as well because, while the infancy period, the first 2 years, is critical for development, development continues far beyond this stage into childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. Correct answer. 8. The development process begins in the prenatal stage, before birth, and continues throughout the entire lifespan of the individual. It includes physical, cognitive, emotional, and social changes at every stage. Question 3. The growth rate of the child is slow but steady during A. Infancy period. This is incorrect because, during infancy, the first year of life, the child experiences rapid growth in both physical size and motor abilities. B. Early childhood period. This is also incorrect. While growth is still significant during early childhood, around 2 to 6 years, it isn't as slow or steady as in the middle childhood period. C. Middle childhood period. Correct answer. During the middle childhood period, ages 6 to 12, growth is steady but slow compared to the rapid growth seen in infancy and adolescence. Children grow at a consistent rate and develop motor skills, cognitive abilities, and social skills. D. Adolescent period. This is incorrect because, during adolescence, ages 12 to 18, there is a growth spurt due to puberty. Growth rates are fast and less steady during this time. Question 4. In which phase of development do children react less violently to emotionally disturbing situations? A. Adolescence. This is incorrect because, in adolescence, children are more likely to experience emotional volatility and react more intensely to emotionally disturbing situations due to hormonal changes and increased emotional sensitivity. B. Early childhood. This is incorrect. In early childhood, ages 2 to 6, children are still learning emotional regulation and may react very emotionally to disturbances. Ashok tutorials. See later childhood. Correct answer. During later childhood, ages 6 to 12, children develop better emotional regulation and coping strategies. They tend to react less violently and more adaptively to emotionally challenging situations compared to earlier years. D. Infancy. This is incorrect. Infants have very limited ability to regulate emotions and can react very strongly, e.g., crying, distress, to emotional disturbances. Question 5. At the age of 5, a child throws a ball with more accuracy so that the mother or father can catch it. This is best associated with A. Development of large muscles. This is incorrect. The throwing action involves coordination and control over muscles, but it's not just about the size or strength of the muscles, which would be the focus in large muscle development. B. Development of the ability to control the movement of large muscles. This is partially correct but not the best answer. The ability to control large muscles is important, but it's more related to the coordination of these muscles, not just the ability to move them. C. Development of the coordination of large muscles. Correct answer. At the age of 5, children are developing better coordination between different large muscle groups, which allows them to perform tasks like throwing a ball with greater accuracy. Coordination involves the integration of the nervous system with muscle control, enabling refined movements. D. Neuromuscular development. This is incorrect. While neuromuscular development is involved in any motor skill development, coordination is the more specific concept being described here. Neuromuscular development is a broader term that encompasses both coordination and strength. Question 6. Which one of the following is not a cognitive behavior of a child? A. Attention. This is incorrect. Attention is a key cognitive skill. It involves focusing mental resources on a particular stimulus, which is a cognitive function. B. Perception. This is incorrect. Perception is also a cognitive skill, involving the process of interpreting sensory information to understand the world around us. C. Cooperation. Correct answer. Cooperation is a social behavior, not a cognitive behavior. Cognitive behaviors involve mental processes such as thinking, learning, attention, and memory, while cooperation refers to working together with others, which is more about social skills. Ashok tutorials. D. Imagination. This is incorrect. Imagination is a cognitive ability involving mental representation and creativity, allowing children to think beyond the present and imagine possibilities. Question 7. According to the cephalocaudal tendency, development proceeds. A. In the direction of head to foot. Correct answer. According to the cephalocaudal principle, development proceeds from the head downwards. Infants first develop control over their head and neck muscles, then gradually develop control over the rest of their body, including their feet. B. In the direction of head to body. This is incorrect. While development does start from the head, cephalocaudal development specifically refers to the head to foot direction, not just head to body. C. In the direction of body to foot. This is incorrect. This option suggests a reverse order, body to feet, which is the opposite of the cephalocaudal principle. D. In the direction of hand to foot. This is incorrect. The cephalocaudal principle does not specify development between hands and feet but focuses on the head to the rest of the body. Question 8. Manu recently got admitted to an elementary school and is forming new relationships with other students and teachers. Social comparisons with schoolmates began to influence Manu's self-esteem. The changes described here best illustrate Manu's development in 8. Physical domain. This is incorrect. The physical domain refers to changes in the body and physical growth, like height, weight, motor skills, etc., which isn't the focus in this scenario. B. Cognitive domain. This is incorrect. The cognitive domain involves mental skills like thinking, reasoning, and learning. While some thinking is involved, the focus here is more on social relationships and self-esteem. C. Psychosocial domain. Correct answer. This best illustrates the psychosocial domain, which is concerned with emotional and social development. Manu is forming relationships with peers and adults, and social comparisons are influencing his self-esteem, which are key aspects of psychosocial development. D. Conative domain. This is incorrect. The term conative refers to motivation and volition, the will to act, which isn't the primary focus here. The changes described relate to Manu's social and emotional life, not just motivation. Ashok tutorial. Question 9. Telegraphic speech takes place during a neonatal period. This is incorrect. The neonatal period refers to the first month of life, when infants are not yet producing speech. They begin babbling later on. B. Early childhood period. Correct answer. Telegraphic speech typically occurs during the early childhood period, around 2 to 3 years old. This is when children begin using short, simplified sentences that often lack certain words, like articles and prepositions, but still convey a clear message, e.g., want cookie, instead of, I want a cookie. C. Later childhood period. This is incorrect. By later childhood, around 6 to 12 years, children are generally using complete and grammatically correct sentences, so telegraphic speech is no longer typical. D. Infancy period. This is incorrect. The infancy period, 0–2 years, includes cooing and babbling, but not yet telegraphic speech. Telegraphic speech begins later as children's vocabulary and sentence formation skills develop. Question 10. The language component that consists of the rules governing the structure and sequence of speech is known as A. Syntax. B. Phonology. C. Semantics. D. Linguistics. Correct answer. A. Syntax. Explanation. A. Syntax. This is the correct answer. Syntax refers to the rules and principles that govern the structure of sentences in a language, including the sequence of words. It dictates how words are arranged to form meaningful sentences. B. Phonology. Phonology is the study of sounds in a language. It deals with the way sounds are produced, their patterns, and how they function in particular languages. C. Semantics. Semantics is the study of meaning in language. It looks at how words, phrases, and sentences convey meaning. D. Linguistics. Linguistics is the broader study of language as a whole, including syntax, semantics, phonology, and other components. It's not a specific component itself. Question 11. Which of the following can be considered gender as the meaning of A. Gender is an innate quality. B. Gender is determinant biological. C. Gender is construct psychological. D. Gender is a social construct. Ashok tutorials. Correct answer. D. Gender is a social construct. Explanation. A. Gender is an innate quality. Gender is not considered an innate quality. It is not biologically determined in a fixed sense but is socially and culturally shaped. B. Gender is determinant biological. While biological sex is determined by physical characteristics, e.g., chromosomes, genitalia, gender is distinct from biological sex and is not strictly biologically determined. C. Gender is construct psychological. While psychological factors can influence how individuals express their gender, Gender itself is mainly understood as a social construct rather than something determined purely by individual psychology. D. Gender is a social construct. This is the correct answer. Gender refers to the roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes that a given society considers appropriate for men and women. It is socially and culturally constructed, varying across different societies and historical periods. Question 12. During the process of gender socialization, boys are often seen to get more autonomy and independence at an earlier stage than girls. This is due to the dominant role of A. School, B. Peer group, C. Family, D. Society. Correct answer. C. Family. Explanation. A. School. While schools play a role in socializing children, they are not the primary agent in this particular aspect of gender socialization, autonomy and independence. B. Peer group. Peer groups influence gender socialization, but they often reflect the gender norms that have already been instilled at home or in society. C. Family. The family plays a dominant role in early gender socialization, especially when it comes to granting autonomy and independence. Families often encourage boys to be more independent and self-reliant from an early age, while girls may be socialized to be more nurturing or dependent. D. Society. Society as a whole influences gender roles, but in the early stages, the family is usually the primary influence on gendered expectations like autonomy. Question 13. To avoid gender stereotyping in class, a teacher should A. Try to put both girls and boys in non-traditional roles. B. Appreciate students' good work by saying, "Good girl," or "Good boy." Ashok tutorials. C. Discourage girls from taking part in wrestling. D. Encourage boys to take bold and risky tasks. Correct answer. A. Try to put both girls and boys in non-traditional roles. Explanation. A. Try to put both girls and boys in non-traditional roles. This is the correct answer. To avoid gender stereotyping, teachers should encourage both girls and boys to engage in activities that are typically seen as non-traditional for their gender, like encouraging girls to participate in science and math, and boys in the arts or caregiving roles. B. Appreciate students' good work by saying, "Good girl," or "Good boy." This can reinforce gender stereotypes, as it may suggest certain behaviors are expected from girls and boys. It's better to give praise without gender-specific language. C. Discourage girls from taking part in wrestling. This is an example of gender stereotyping. Girls should be encouraged to take part in activities like wrestling if they are interested, regardless of societal expectations. D. Encourage boys to take bold and risky tasks. This could reinforce the stereotype that boys should be more daring, while girls are not encouraged to take risks. A teacher should encourage all students, regardless of gender, to take on a variety of challenges. Question 14. The type of observation wherein the observer joins in group activities to study the behavior of the students is referred to as A. Naturalistic observation. B. Controlled observation. C. Uncontrolled observation. D. Participant observation. Correct answer. D. Participant observation. Explanation. A. Naturalistic observation. This involves observing subjects in their natural environment without interference or involvement from the observer. It doesn't require the observer to participate in activities. B. Controlled observation. This involves observing subjects in a controlled environment, often in a lab setting, where variables are manipulated by the researcher. The observer does not typically interact with the subjects. C. Uncontrolled observation. This is not a standard term in research methods. Observations are either naturalistic or controlled. D. Participant observation. This is the correct answer. In participant observation, the observer actively participates in the activities being studied, allowing for a deeper understanding of the group's behavior from the inside. Ashok tutorials. 8 PAGE. Question 15. Which of the following is not an advantage of a reflective journal? A. It brings out improvement in students' writing skill. Incorrect. Reflective journals do help improve writing skills. As students write regularly and reflect on their learning experiences, their writing abilities tend to improve over time. B. It allows free expression of personal voices. Incorrect. Reflective journals are a great way for students to express their thoughts, opinions, and emotions freely. This is one of the key advantages of using them. C. It allows self-criticism. Incorrect. Reflective journals are intended to help students critically reflect on their learning, behaviors, and thought processes. This promotes self-awareness and self-criticism. D. It encourages students to disclose their personal and private views and opinions. Correct answer. While reflective journals encourage self-expression, they do not necessarily require or encourage the disclosure of private or overly personal views. The emphasis is on reflection related to learning experiences rather than disclosing private information. Question 16. An anecdotal record serves to A. Document a student's behavior in a specific situation. Correct answer. An anecdotal record is a brief, written account that records a specific incident or behavior observed in a student. It focuses on describing an event or behavior in a factual, narrative form. B. Provide a holistic view of a student's behavior. Incorrect. An anecdotal record focuses on specific instances, rather than offering a comprehensive, holistic view. A holistic view of behavior would require multiple observations over time. C. Assess a student's academic progress. Incorrect. An anecdotal record typically records behavioral observations, not academic progress. Academic progress would be assessed using different tools, such as tests, assignments, or academic portfolios. D. Keep track of a student's attendance. Incorrect. An anecdotal record does not typically track attendance. Attendance is usually recorded separately, often by teachers or administrative staff. Question 17. Which of the following is not a principle of inclusive education? A. Equity. Incorrect. Equity is a core principle of inclusive education, which aims to provide fair and just educational opportunities for all students, including those with disabilities or special needs. B. Access. Incorrect. Access is another key principle of inclusive education. All students should have equal access to quality education, regardless of their abilities, background, or circumstances. Ashok tutorials. 9 PAGE. C. Participation. Incorrect. Participation is also fundamental to inclusive education. Students are encouraged to actively participate in all aspects of school life, not just academically but socially and emotionally as well. D. Respect. Correct answer. While respect is a critical value in education in general, it is not typically listed as one of the core principles of inclusive education, which focuses more on equity, access, and participation. Respect is embedded within these broader principles but is not usually singled out as a principle on its own. Question 18. For successful inclusion of students with visual impairment, which of the following becomes a barrier? A. Electronically formatted lecture notes. Incorrect. Electronically formatted lecture notes can be an advantage for students with visual impairments, as they can be easily converted to formats compatible with screen readers or braille displays. B. Audio taped lectures. Incorrect. Audio-taped lectures are also helpful for visually impaired students. These allow them to access lecture content through listening, which is more accessible than traditional visual methods. C. Written diagrams, description and models. Correct answer. Written diagrams and models can become a barrier if not adapted for accessibility. Students with visual impairments may struggle to understand diagrams or visual models unless they are presented in an accessible format, like tactile diagrams or 3D models. D. Tactile materials, models of graphics. Incorrect. Tactile materials and models of graphics are designed specifically to support students with visual impairments. They allow students to feel the shapes and structures of diagrams, which helps them engage with the content. Question 19. Which of the following is not a type of disability? A. Mental illness. Correct answer. Mental illness is generally considered a mental health condition rather than a disability. While mental illness can impact an individual's ability to function in some areas, it is typically classified separately from disabilities such as intellectual, sensory, or physical disabilities. B. Autism spectrum disorder. Incorrect. Autism spectrum disorder (ASD) is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects behavior, communication, and social interaction. It is considered a disability under the umbrella of developmental disabilities. Ashok tutorials. C. Learning disability. Incorrect. A learning disability is a recognized type of disability that impacts an individual's ability to process and understand information, affecting areas like reading, writing, or math. D. Acquired brain injury. Incorrect. Acquired brain injury is also considered a type of disability. It results from damage to the brain due to an external force, e.g., a traumatic injury, stroke, or illness, and can affect cognitive and physical abilities. Question 20. Which of the following practices will hinder the successful inclusion of students with hearing impairment? A. Allowing extra time for processing information. Incorrect. Allowing extra time is a supportive practice for students with hearing impairment, as it gives them more time to process information, especially when they rely on lip reading or sign language. B. Captioning on scripts, announcements, or video. Incorrect. Captioning is an inclusive practice that benefits students with hearing impairment, as it provides access to auditory information through text. C. Enhancing lip reading conditions in the classroom. Incorrect. Enhancing lip reading conditions, e.g., ensuring proper lighting, clear speech, is a practice that helps students with hearing impairments better understand spoken language. D. Relying extensively on the lecture method of teaching. Correct answer. Relying extensively on the lecture method can hinder the inclusion of students with hearing impairment. Lectures often rely heavily on spoken language and may not be accessible unless additional supports, like captioning, sign language interpreters, or visual aids, are provided. Teaching methods should be more diverse and inclusive of different learning styles. Question 21. In the classroom, a teacher plans pair and group work so that learners can interact with peers. Here the students are involved in an activity of A. Cognitive constructivism. Incorrect. Cognitive constructivism is a theory of learning that focuses on how individuals construct knowledge through personal mental processes. It's more about how learners process and organize information individually. Although cognitive constructivism emphasizes active engagement with learning materials, it doesn't specifically focus on peer interaction or collaborative activities like pair and group work. B. Social constructivism. Correct answer. Social constructivism, developed by Vygotsky, emphasizes the role of social interaction in learning. In this approach, learners build understanding through collaboration with peers and the teacher. Group and pair work are typical examples of social constructivism, as they promote learning through discussion, problem solving, and sharing perspectives. C. Behaviorism incorrect. Behaviorism focuses on observable behaviors and reinforces learning through external stimuli and responses. It does not emphasize peer interactions as a primary way of Ashok tutorials. 11 PAGE. Learning. Instead, behaviorist approaches typically involve teacher-led instruction and reinforcement. D. Structuralism incorrect. Structuralism is more concerned with the structures of knowledge and how learning is shaped by cognitive frameworks. While it involves understanding the mental structures that influence learning, it doesn't focus on peer interaction as a key aspect of learning. Question 22. The most important step in the pre-teaching phase is A. Identifying instructional objectives. Correct answer. The first and most important step in any lesson planning process is to clearly define the instructional objectives. These objectives specify what the students should know, understand, or be able to do by the end of the lesson. Setting clear objectives ensures that the lesson is purposeful and aligned with expected outcomes. B. Selecting the appropriate teaching learning activities incorrect. While selecting the right activities is crucial, it should come after identifying the instructional objectives. The activities need to align with the objectives to ensure they help students meet the desired outcomes. C. Deciding the assessment tools incorrect. Assessment tools should be chosen after defining the learning objectives and selecting the appropriate activities. The purpose of assessments is to measure whether the learning objectives have been achieved. D. Conducting needs assessment incorrect. A needs assessment is important for identifying the learning needs of students, but this is typically done before lesson planning or curriculum design, not specifically during the pre-teaching phase. Question 23. In the practice of teaching skills, the technique which is used as a correct response situation to strengthen the response given by the pupil is A. Prompting. Correct answer. Prompting involves giving cues or hints to guide a student toward the correct answer or behavior. It's a strategy used in skill development to reinforce correct responses. For example, if a student is unsure how to answer a question, a teacher might provide a hint or a partial answer to guide them. B. Seeking further information incorrect. This is a technique where the teacher asks follow-up questions to gather more information or clarify understanding. It does not directly reinforce or strengthen the student's response in the same way that prompting does. C. Refocusing incorrect. Refocusing is about redirecting the student's attention to the task or topic at hand. While useful for keeping students engaged, it's not specifically about reinforcing correct responses. Ashok tutorials. 12 PAGE. D. Redirection incorrect. Redirection is used to guide students away from undesirable behavior or off-task actions, but it doesn't necessarily strengthen or reinforce the correct responses in the context of skill development. Question 24. A learning style that the learners choose to learn by listening is known as A. Auditory learning style. Correct answer. Auditory learners learn best when they hear information. This includes listening to lectures, discussions, podcasts, or audio recordings. These learners tend to retain information better when it's presented orally, rather than visually or through physical interaction. B. Visual learning style incorrect. Visual learners prefer to learn through seeing. They benefit from diagrams, charts, videos, and written instructions. This style does not align with learning by listening, which is what the question specifically asks about. C. Tactile kinesthetic learning style incorrect. Tactile kinesthetic learners learn best by engaging in hands-on activities and physical movement. They prefer to learn by doing, rather than by listening or reading. D. Learning by memorization style incorrect. Learning by memorization is not a recognized learning style. While memorization is a strategy some learners use, it doesn't describe a particular learning preference like auditory, visual, or kinesthetic learning styles do. Question 25. Which of the following is the task of a teacher in the constructivist approach to the teaching-learning process? A. The teacher plays a dominant role in the teaching-learning activities incorrect. In a constructivist approach, the teacher is not the dominant authority figure who directs all learning activities. The emphasis is on students actively constructing their own knowledge with the teacher's support, not on the teacher controlling the learning process. B. The teacher directs and controls the students in the classroom incorrect. Constructivism encourages a more student-centered approach where students take responsibility for their learning, and the teacher guides them rather than directing or controlling them. C. The teacher plays an advising and facilitating role in the teaching-learning process correct answer. In constructivism, the teacher acts as a facilitator or advisor, helping students explore, ask questions, and discover answers for themselves. The teacher provides resources and guidance but doesn't dictate the learning process. The focus is on collaboration and problem solving. D. The teacher plays a dominant role in delivery of a lesson incorrect. In a constructivist classroom, the teacher does not dominate the delivery of lessons. Ashok tutorials. 13 PAGE. Instead, students are encouraged to be active participants in their learning, with the teacher supporting them in a more collaborative and less directive way. Question 26. Assessment is purposeful if A. It is done only after the completion of the course incorrect. While assessments at the end of a course, summative assessment, are important, a purposeful assessment should not be limited to the final stage of the course. Purposeful assessment involves continuous feedback throughout the learning process to improve student understanding and teaching practices. B. It is done once at the end of the year incorrect. Assessing only once at the end of the year is not considered purposeful in modern educational practices. While this is a form of summative assessment, ongoing assessment throughout the year is necessary for providing timely feedback and helping both students and teachers adjust their approaches. C. It serves as feedback for the students as well as the teacher's correct answer. Purposeful assessment is designed to provide valuable feedback to both students and teachers. This feedback helps students understand their strengths and areas for improvement, while also helping teachers adjust their teaching strategies to meet the needs of their students. D. It serves as students-only feedback incorrect. Assessment should not serve only as feedback for students. It should also inform the teacher's practice, guide instructional decisions, and help improve the learning process overall. Question 27. Given below are the objective type responses in 3.3, or under alternative response type. Identify the odd one from the given options that is not under the alternative response type. A. True or false correct answer. True or false is an example of an alternative response type, where students choose between two options, true or false. B. Right or wrong incorrect. This is also an alternative response type, where students select between two options, right or wrong. C. Yes or no incorrect. Yes or no is another example of an alternative response type, where students choose between two answers. D. Matching the columns correct answer. Matching the columns is not an alternative response type. Instead, it is an example of a correspondence type question, where students match items in one column to corresponding items in another column. Unlike true-false, yes-no, or right-wrong questions, it requires more cognitive processing to match items correctly. Ashok tutorials. 14 PAGE. Question 28. Which of the following is the most appropriate description for a very short answer question? A. It can be answered within 50 to 60 words. Incorrect. This description is too long for a very short answer question. Typically, very short answer questions require concise responses, often only a few words or a brief sentence. B. It can be answered within 2 to 7 lines. Incorrect. This range is still a bit too long to be considered a very short answer. Very short answers typically don't extend to more than 1 or 2 lines. C. It can be answered in 1 word or 1 sentence. Correct answer. A very short answer question is one that can be answered concisely, usually in a single word or a brief sentence. These types of questions require direct responses and are designed to test specific knowledge quickly. D. It can be answered in 120 to 150 words. Incorrect. This is more of a long answer question or essay-type question and is not typical for very short answer responses. Question 29. Which of the following is not the tool for formative assessment in the scholastic domain? A. Conversation skill. Incorrect. Conversation skills can be used as a formative assessment tool. Teachers can assess students' communication, speaking, and listening skills through ongoing informal conversations during lessons or class discussions. B. Multiple choice questions. Incorrect. Multiple choice questions (MCQs) can be used as a formative assessment tool, as they help teachers quickly assess students' knowledge and understanding of specific content. C. Projects. Incorrect. Projects are an excellent tool for formative assessment. They allow students to demonstrate their understanding in creative and applied ways, and teachers can give feedback throughout the project's development. D. Oral questions. Correct answer. Oral questions are a form of formative assessment, as they help teachers assess students' thinking and understanding in real time, allowing for immediate feedback. However, oral questions can also be a tool in summative assessments, depending on their context. Since this question asks about formative assessment tools in the scholastic domain, it's possible that the other options, projects, conversation skills, and MCQs, are considered better or more typical tools for formative assessment in terms of testing content knowledge. Question 30. Which of the following is an example of summative assessment? A. Quiz. Incorrect. A quiz can be a formative assessment if given during the learning process to gauge. Ashok tutorials. 15 PAGE. Student understanding. Quizzes can be used in both summative and formative contexts, but they are more often formative when used in the middle of a unit. B. Performance task. Incorrect. A performance task can also be used as a form of formative assessment if the task is used to monitor progress or guide learning. However, when it's used at the end of a unit to assess what students have learned, it becomes summative. C. Unit test. Incorrect. A unit test is typically a summative assessment because it is given at the end of a unit to evaluate overall student achievement and learning outcomes. D. Final examination. Correct answer. A final examination is a summative assessment. It is designed to assess students' overall understanding of the material at the end of a course or semester. Summative assessments are typically high-stakes evaluations that summarize student learning.